Happy November, Wolves family. This is the post-board meeting update for the month of November. Just going to take a few minutes to highlight the discussions that were had at the board meeting. And also just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. There's so much to be grateful for in our community, so much to be grateful for in our district. I express appreciation to all of our students for the hard work you're doing each and every day to really make the best out of your lives. I express appreciation to all of our employees across the district that are serving kids faithfully and diligently. To our parents, we appreciate your partnership and your efforts at home and all the things that you do, and to our community members for all your support. We have a wonderful school district, and it's just amazing to me to see the progress and see the continuous growth as we continue to strive for excellence in our journey. There's been a lot of advancement and progress regarding teaching and learning. We have really upped our game in terms of instructional quality and professional learning that we're doing with our teams. We have outside consultants that are challenging us and growing us in new ways. We are implementing Vision 2030 and really moving along academically, trying to provide a more personalized and unique experience for each one of our children. And so it's a journey, it's a process, but we're doing really, really great work, really meaningful work. So I just appreciate all the support we have. I appreciate our Board of Education who gives dedicated service to us. We have 7 board members who are phenomenal, who are really committed to our students, who are challenging. Again, as I said before, we don't always agree on everything, but we dialogue around what's best for kids. And at the end of the day, I feel like we do leave after our board meetings feeling like we're aligned on doing what's best for our kids. We reviewed last night the belief that we believe a shared partnership between school and home is vital for student success. Again, that partnership piece is so critical with families. Engage with your kids, engage with your teachers, contact them if you have questions or concerns. Go directly to the teacher or individual that's over the program so that they can support you. The board norm that was discussed is that we will operate in a manner that will reflect trust and support for administration, staff, and faculty. So the board's committed to growing us and to helping us grow while still providing a high level of support for our teams. And so they do a really great job of that. Appreciate all that they do. Just want to give a shout out for our community Thanksgiving dinner that's going to be provided by the Meese and family, Shirley Meese and family. We know this is such a huge benefit. This is what make these types of things are what make our community so phenomenal. So that's on Thanksgiving. We appreciate them and just their heartfelt service that they provide. All right. Brief update on the baseball and softball project. If you've been on our campus, you'll see that we're moving along. They put some sub base down and starting to get the drains and stuff put in. We're on a good timeline. We got the turf worked out, all the logos, and what that turf will actually look like, so now it can get manufactured. We are still on a good timeline to have both of those turfs done, ready for the start of baseball and softball season in the spring. So excited about that. Let's see here, moving along. We spent a bulk of our time tonight talking about Strategy 4 and 5, a continuation from our last month's meeting. Strategy 4, I'll remind you, is to meet the needs, social, emotional, and behavioral needs of our kids. Mr. Garrett Noonan provided an update to our board. Garrett Noonan is our Special Service Director. He is leading this particular action plan team, specifically looking at evaluating and enhancing our alternative school program to meet the needs of those that are identified in our 7th through 12th grade program. So he has worked with a team of Mr. Weldy, Brandon Weldy, Chris Funk, Casey Carpenter, Evan Theobald, Casey Rader, Maggie Martinez, Tina Polub, Lacey Reinsch, Jason Reinsch, Hayden Champion, Ashley Shelton, and Morgan Schmidt. They went and did several site visits of alternative school programs across the state and really have brought back strengths and weaknesses of each of those programs and really starting to create our own model of what this could look like for Reed Spring schools. And so they went to Ray-Pec, they went to Liberty School District, Ozark Center, they went to the one in Monette, they went to the Lee Summit Center. I think those are the 5 that they went to. Really great things. They liked that some of the programs were tied to Portrait of a Graduate. They have learners' intentions and success criteria, student goals really embedded in their program. Really had a good Ray-Pec had a really good process of how do we identify kids, what's that rubric for placement and getting them into the program, really embedded special services as well for special education needs. Monette was data-driven. They had a kind of a good data-driven process, really engaged sending schools because that's the model we're looking at is providing seats for our kids, but also opening up for ascending schools, for our surrounding schools, like we do with our Career Center, so that they can have seats in our campus. That will also help us serve a broader community, have a broader impact, and also a financial offset of the cost associated with additional staff. Liberty had a very unique personalized learning environment, very unstructured, very different, where they essentially work in bursts on passion projects. So it's very much about student agency, very much project-based, not really focused on academics so much, but really engaging juniors and seniors in real-world learning and trying to get them capture some fire within them before they graduate, so they have a desire to do something after high school. Finley River was very positive. The culture was great. That's one in Ozark. They had opportunity because of the proximity to the high school, which we feel is essential. They have opportunity to go and take electives. They embedded core curriculum and instruction. They had social and emotional learning embedded in that, which is basically just helping students learn how to implement. It's really implementing the Portrait of a Graduate competencies. So those were some key takeaways. A couple of things that were challenges that they didn't like is some of the programs had lower academic expectations. The rigor didn't seem to be there, really limited to no instructional time. Some of the structure was undefined or not even existent at all. Some of the personnel in some of the environments they went in weren't really passionate or engaged the way we feel our people need to be. And some of the facilities were more of an afterthought rather than creating a facility that was really designed for that environment. So our goal is really, centers back on our mission, which is providing a personalized and experience that's committed to our personal academic excellence, that's innovative and student-centered and focused on relationships. That's kind of what Mr. Noonan centers back on. And so there's a component of academics that needs to be embedded in that, personalization and agency, content-rich instruction, flexibility, project-based real world, so Portrait of Grad, visible learning, data-driven, MTSS-driven, special education friendly, so a high level of student engagement and ownership. From a social emotional learning standpoint, early opportunities for intervention, flexibility in that model, small groups, book study, helping our students really understand how to self-regulate, how to be more productive citizens, really focus in this alternative setting. We need somebody to run, whoever's involved in this program, and I'll say this for any program, but certainly with those that are highest risk, we want them to be extremely passionate, really highly engaged, and really qualified to work with this population of kiddos. And so personnel will be a key factor to that. The facilities need to be flexible, smaller class sizes. There needs to be a strong sense of community, a lot of collaboration opportunities, and just be really intentionally designed. So part of the process of integrating is just looking at how do you get kids in? How do you get kids back integrated into the regular environment? What do you do with juniors and seniors? Do they stay? What about a 7th grade goal? So really working through how do you get these students integrated back into the school environment, even if it's on a limited basis, and or how do you get them ready for college and career placement after they leave so they have actually a game plan when they leave our place. So ultimately, we're not going to give up on kids. So the recommendation that was provided to the board to begin considering is, again, a 7 through 12 alternative learning environment here at our central office, where we're currently located at a high school, largely because of the proximity of the high school. So these kids can integrate back within those programs. A Sunday school model that will help offset some of those costs and be a robust program for our regional kids. We anticipate around 40 kids, 35 to 40 students engaged in this work, engaged in this new type of learning, which will require a teacher leader. So that will be kind of a teacher/director, more of a kind of a teacher leader role. We envision down the road in a couple years having 2 certified teachers that are math, English, and special education certified, and then utilizing some of our current staff that's already in place. And so really we're talking about 3 distinctive programs. Missouri Options as a program, which is credit recovery and those types of things, an alternative location, alternative pathway to suspensions, and alternative learning environment for kids. So we talked a little bit briefly about what this space could look like. And that led into, a timeline, which would be really in December for us to come back to the board to talk about facility planning, because we need to develop a facility for our central offices to go so this space can get renovated here and begin that work. So a job description will be presented at the to the Board of Education in December for their review and hopefully approval to hire a lead teacher, lead director, if you will, of this program. And then throughout the spring, we hire that perfect candidate. They begin developing really the model all next year, really developing what this will all look like from community to learning, all the pieces. And then we open in 2027 and hopefully have sending schools and our schools all engaged in that work. That led to a discussion centered around, obviously, our facilities planning. The work that we've been doing with our master plan. We have I talked about this last month. We knew that there was going to be an anticipated need to build a central office for us to move to, which would be the field north of the Career Center. For those of you that are at the intermediate school, this does not change what we're doing with the intermediate school renovation and what that will look like. That's a much, much larger project, a significantly larger project, and we'll talk more about that in the next several months as we begin moving forward with that. So it doesn't change that at all, but it allows us to move out and gives the high school this flexible space. So we talked about that. We'll again present more information to the board next month, but we'd like to begin working with the architects and designers to start planning for blueprints to build that building north of campus or north of the Career Center, and then begin hopefully breaking dirt this spring so that 12 to 14 month build. We'll get that project done, move us out, have this building remodeled, this area where we're at remodeled so that it can be used for alternative school. That was the bulk of our conversation night. It was much needed, really great pieces of items to discuss. A lot to still figure out, but we do know we are working towards Vision 2030. This is an essential part of a critical part of our strategic plan, and this is all strategically driven. This is why we would do any kind of facility renovation, any kind of build, is to implement our strategic plan, which we have been tasked to do by our community. So we always do what we say. We try to follow through with what we say we're going to do. And then the final things that were discussed this evening, just as I wrap up here, Dr. Kite presented our professional development plan that was approved by the board. Our food service department and fall sports programs were reviewed and given to the board. We appreciate the work in both our food service and our sports, athletics, and all that's done. You should see a survey coming out soon, parents and students. I know it's going to staff, just gathering input and data on extracurricular activities and programs and opportunities that we could expand, because that's part of strategy 3 in our strategic plan. So we're going to begin getting feedback on what are those gaps and holes in our environment and how can we do better in terms of serving our kids and giving them something extra to be involved in. More to come on that. That was our meeting. We had a great opportunity to connect together as a board. We continue to do great work here with kids. Our staff, you're doing a phenomenal job. I know with change, especially with visible learning and the professional learning that's going on, we're being challenged. We are also raising the bar from across the district to continue to elevate and do better, even better than we have been doing great. So just keep it going, keep up the positive thoughts, keep rallying around and supporting each other. This is great work. Be proud of being an educator. Be proud of being part of Reach Spring Schools. Appreciate you all and have a great and happy Thanksgiving.